All right, so today we're going to have a look at factorizing expressions, and the learning objective is to be able to factorize both simple expressions as well as looking at quadratics and more difficult expressions. So we're going to look at the methods behind all of this. So as usual, if you're stuck, any questions, feel free to drop it in the comments, or you can also email me on this email. So for factorizing simple expressions, it's really important to be able to find the highest common factor. And so as a starter, what I'd like you to do is to find, to complete this two-way table. And how it works is you just look, so here's 2x times whatever goes here makes 6x cubed. And so 2x times 3x squared will give us that. So you can pause the video and have a go at the rest of them and see how to do it. Okay, so here 2x times what makes 16x squared? So it will be 8x. And then we need to find out what goes here. Well, 3x squared times by this will give us this box, but we're not sure what that is. And so what we'll do is we'll look at the 8x. What do you times by the 8x to make 24xy? Well, that's to make 24, it's going to be 3. And we already have an x, so it's going to be 3y here. And then we can complete the rest of it. So here we're going to have 9x squared y. And then here it's going to be what number do you times by 3y to make 9y squared, which is just also 3y. And then 3y times 2x, what does that give us? Well, that gives us 6xy. And so that is our two-way table completed. So factorizing, it's basically just the reverse process of expanding. You get an expanded expression, you put it back into brackets. And this is going to really help because you're going to be finding the highest common factor for each term. So here as well, we are looking for the highest common factor of both 14x and 28. And well, I know the highest common factor between both of those is 14. And so in my brackets, what do I times by 14 to make 14x? Well, that's just x. What do I times by 14 to make 28? Well, that's just 2. So it's going to be 14 and then x plus 2. In the next one, what is the highest common factor here? Well, it's just 4. And again, in brackets, you're going to have x plus 6. In the next one, what's the highest common factor? Well, here it's just 1 and 7, but what's common between both of them is the x. So you can take the x out of the brackets, and inside the brackets, you'll just have, again, x and the plus 7. The last one, what is common between both of these? Well, there's a 4 in common, highest common factor, and an x as well. So it's just going to be xy and 1 here. So you can expand it and see if you'll make that expanded term again. So use your skills of expanding as well. All right, so pause the video and have a go at factorizing these. All right, so here what we're going to do is going to take out the highest common factor, which is going to be the 3. And in the brackets, we'll just have x plus 4. Here, the highest common factor is just going to be 2. And we're going to take out the 2 and get 2x minus 5. And in this last one, the highest common factor is a 4x. And so we can take out that. And inside the brackets, we'll get 2x in here, the minus stays, and then the 3y. So that is how you'd go about factorizing these. The next thing we're going to have a look at is factorizing quadratic expressions. And here it's just going to be monic quadratic expressions, so they won't have different coefficients. It will just be x squared. And the way to go about thinking of these is to think about what numbers give us a sum and a product of certain numbers. So basically, you need to be able to be very, very familiar with these keywords. So the sum is the answer when two numbers are added together. The product is the answer when two numbers are multiplied together. Yeah, so the sum, two numbers are added together, they give you the sum. The product, two numbers are multiplied together. And then an extra term that you need to be familiar with is coefficient. So that is the number that multiplies a certain variable. So for example, in 6x, this basically just means 6 times x. X is the variable and 6 is the coefficient. So in 6x, the 6 is the coefficient because it's multiplied to the x. Okay, so if we are factorizing quadratics, the method is you've got to find two numbers that sum to make the coefficient of x. So in this case, it's the 10, but the product is 16. So the sum is 10 and the product is 16. So what two numbers make a sum of 10, but when they times together, it makes 16. And so you've got to think of that. What two numbers add to make 10 and times together to make 16? And I realized that the two numbers that do that is 8 and 2, because when you times 8 and 2, you get 16, but when you add 8 and 2, you get 10. And so you have your 10 here and your 16 here. And so those are the numbers that will be in our brackets, the 8 and the 2. So x plus 8 will be in one bracket, x plus 2 will be in the other bracket. And when we expand this, we get x squared plus 2x plus 8x plus 16. And we know that 2x plus 8x give us 10. And so we get back to our original expansion. So we've factorized it. So this is the answer, x plus 8, x plus 2. All right, so pause the video and have a go. In the first example, the sum is 8 and the product is 12. So what two numbers sum to make 8? Product is 12. Well, the only answer that could be here is x plus 6 and x plus 2. 6 add 2 is 8. 6 times 2 is 12. The next one, here, the sum is going to be 14 and the product is going to be 48. So what two numbers sum to make 14 and the product is 48? Okay, so here it's just going to be x plus 6 and x plus 8, because these are the two numbers that add to make 14, but when you times them, it gives us 48. Next one, the sum is 15 and the product is 56. So the numbers here are going to be x plus 7 and x plus 8, because these are the only two numbers that times to make 56 and add to make 15. And the last one, two numbers that sum to make minus 12, but the product is 27. And this is going to be a bit of a tricky one, but it's actually going to be x minus 9 and x minus 3, because minus 9 minus 3 is minus 12, but minus 9 times minus 3 is 27, it's positive 27. All right, last thing, have a go at these, pause the video and just have a go. So the first one is x plus 3, x minus 2. The next one is x minus 6, x plus 4. And the last one is x minus 9, x plus 3. So I hope you got those correct and it makes a bit of sense. These are quite difficult, it takes practice, but all you've got to look at is a sum makes this, the coefficient of x, and the product makes this. So go through your examples. It's easier to think of what two numbers times to make the minus 24 before you think of what sums, and also be careful of the signs. So yeah, that is the end of our factorizing lesson.